Ah, there you are.
I was beginning to think you weren't coming.
You left me here to die. I didn't want to say goodbye. Don't want to say goodbye. Got no tears left to cry. You've been on my mind, and I cannot heal this time. I'm really not okay inside. I've got no strength left to try.
Penis buildings.
Discount Jeremy makes a dumb penis joke ex machina.
Are they training with actual lightsabers? Did they set sabers to stun? This just seems insanely dangerous.
Nope, lightsabers can be manually adjusted to produce less energy, making them safe for training.
I get that the Empire's design philosophy is primarily based around intimidation, but how does intimidating your own workers with fall hazards help with all the star destroying?
Sinning the design of star destroyers. That's worth this many sins.
We got her.
Show has everyone waiting around with bated breath as if she's already a leader in the Rebel Alliance. So I'll remind you that the concern around Leia's fate has to do with her detailed knowledge of the path and not necessarily her well-being. And I know this because not a single one of these assholes asks about Wade.
So you're sinning these rebels for being more invested in the survival of their cause than some random kid they don't know? Okay.
We used an old trade route to get them out, but the window's closing. We held it to help you get the kid. We only have a few hours.
If this was such a timely need, then seems like you could have explained this to Ben on the trip here. Might have even been able to formulate some sort of plan, so once you landed, you were ready to get everyone off in that small window of time. But as Josh Mankiewicz would say if he were writing for TVSins, but you didn't do that, did you?
Roken was focused on escaping the fortress. He wasn't thinking ahead about this future issue. He's not a perfect character. He made a mistake, and that's not a sin of the episode.
If we seal them in now, they can hold out for days.
Oh no, not days! Impatience may be a virtue of the dark side, but it makes for a very dull character motivation.
How so? Why is it dull? You can't just say stuff and hope that it's true without providing a reason.
He hasn't the patience for siege.
How do you know?
Whenever I run into my siblings, I also flash back to a fight to the almost death. But that doesn't excuse the absurd fact that this one singular sparring match somehow manages to be the perfect analogy for every event that occurs in this episode.
What? The show is using the past experiences of a character to explain the current actions of that same character. It makes perfect sense. Anakin wasn't patient during the sparring match, and he isn't patient now.
We do not need to fight them. We just need to hold them off long enough to get you all out.
And by hold them off, you mean fight them.
Jesus Christ. Yes, holding them off requires fighting, but what he meant was that they don't need to win a prolonged battle. Little kids could understand this better than you.
Roken, how much time do you need to override the doors?
3-4 hours.
You have one.
Did Ben just pull a Captain Kirk on Roken? Did he just Scotty Roken? I think he just Scottied all over Roken.
Discount Jeremy makes a pop culture reference that isn't a sin of the episode cliche.
A little too big to be crawling around in the vents. Would you like to try?
I'm going to need a ladder.
Going out of your way to create obstacles that only Leia can overcome doesn't change the fact that her character was the worst idea this show had. And to be clear, Vivian Lyra Blair is very charming and makes her role work better than it should, but we're still stuck with an Obi-Wan helps protect a kid cliche, and that kinda sucks.
Oof, I was with you up until you said the word cliche, and it reminded me that you still don't know what that word means.
I'm not a babysitter, Ben.
I have to go.
Forcing someone to babysit your child, or any child you're in charge of looking after.
Pointing things out on the screen.
I'm not sure if 2 incidents make a cliche, but it's super f***ing weird. Both this show and Mandalorian have a plotline that requires the smallest character to venture into a space full of wires that they have to f*** with.
Okay, he's claiming that 2 shows having somewhat similar things happen in them is a sin, which is incredibly stupid because it is literally impossible for a show to exclusively do things that have never happened before to any extent. Remember, he's not complaining about the same thing happening twice, he's complaining about vaguely similar things happening twice.
If he's found you, if he's learned of the children.
But once again, how does Vader not know about the children? One's living with his uncle without a name change, and one's in a royal family making daily public appearances. This show has made Darth Vader so much less intimidating and so much more stupid.
Nope, Vader doesn't want to return to Tatooine because it would remind him of the past, which is actually one of the strongest aspects of his character. The dude's got some serious demons. As for Leia, why would it make sense for him to just randomly assume that Bail Organa's daughter is actually his? How is he supposed to know that?
I don't hear from you soon. I'll head to Tatooine.
I'm surprised you're not already there. Based on the movies and all the shows so far, everyone ends up at Tatooine eventually.
Yet more Tatooine complaints, which is even dumber than normal seeing as we aren't even there right now.
14 people died and 6 of them were children, and I couldn't do anything to help them. So now I do this.
You pull your gun out of your holster?
Unfunny joke is unfunny.
If Reva could have done this the whole time, then what was she waiting for? You're telling me the standoff couldn't have been over 5 minutes ago? F you, show, and the horses you stop and look at for 10 minutes before riding in on.
You're unsurprisingly misunderstanding the scene. Reva wouldn't have been able to efficiently cut through the door with her lightsaber earlier because the mounted blasters were what weakened the door enough for her to be able to do that.
Looking at this wall of stormtroopers, I find it completely unbelievable that Obi and his band of misfits have missed a single shot. Thought the only place they taught this kind of marksmanship was the Stormtrooper Academy.
Yet again, Discount Jeremy's complaining about people not having perfect video game accuracy, which is even dumber than normal, seeing as the rebels he's referring to in this scene have mostly not even been combat trained.
Show pew-pews on for all the never-ending how are they gonna get out of this one cliche.
The misuse of the word cliche is strong with this one.
Expecting us to believe a stormtrooper hit something he or she was aiming at, and on behalf of humanity, I will exclaim with a resounding cry, we do not believe you.
So it's a sin that something that normally wouldn't happen finally did happen? That's stupid.
It's over.
This kicks off the most confusing exchange of dialogue in the entire series, where Roken tries to convince Obi-Wan not to quit, and Obi-Wan tries to convince Roken that he's not quitting, meaning they're on the same page the entire time and the whole thing was unnecessary and overdramatic.
Nope, you just don't understand. Roken is telling Obi-Wan not to sacrifice himself for the rest of them because he thinks that's what's going to happen. Pay attention.
Again, I have to point out that this lightsaber practice really feels like they're trying to lightly kill each other. So it'd go a long way if the show could indicate whether or not these things are Nerf, or if these two are oddly okay with being cut in half.
The fact that they are going full speed at each other is our indication that they're on a lower power setting, numbnuts. Also, Discount Jeremy double dips cliche.
Also, the show never acknowledges that Leia's the one that brought Lola along on this adventure, which makes it her fault all these people just died in that blaster fight. Seriously, lots of casualties on both sides. All Leia's fault.
And why is that a sin? Did you really want Obi-Wan to kneel down in front of Leia and tell her that she got a ton of people killed? You're basically advocating for the show to just waste time.
This is cool, but not as cool as Starkiller pulling down a Star Destroyer, so points will be deducted accordingly.
Discount Jeremy sins something he likes cliche.
Neat trick, but couldn't Vader just have easily stopped the second ship by using the Force as well? Was he too tired? Did he need some orange slices?
The second ship takes off too quickly for Vader to react. Stop sinning things like this. It's actually realistic for characters to not have impeccable cat-like reaction time.
How does Anakin not stop this with some quick stabby stab action? Show wants me to believe that a weaponless Obi twice, armed with only breakdance moves, is a match for Darth Vader and his lightsaber.
The scene clearly shows us that Anakin is avoiding Obi-Wan's legs as he uses a kicking move to try to knock Anakin off his feet. Therefore, he couldn't also get an accurate stab in at the same time he's dodging an attack.
Seems like Vader saw this coming for a while now, but still Reva certainly didn't help her cause by loudly grunting and deploying her saber at the moment of attack, completely undermining all her sneaking.
The physical release of noise actually helps a person to put more power into a swing, so sinning it is kinda weird. As for deploying her saber late, she didn't want to come in with it already ignited because there are other Imperial units still outside who would have questioned what she was doing.
There are two things I know for sure about this sequence. One is that Vader has his back to Reva twice and doesn't get stabbed.
That's because Reva does try to stab him and he blocks it, you dumbass.
The other is, if you freeze the frame at exactly the right moment, it looks like Vader's penis and butthole both have lightsabers coming out of them. I know they're saving the chase for the next episode, but this transport ship flying off with no resistance from the Star Destroyer in orbit is all kinds of the nonsense.
But you just mentioned how the resistance to their escape happens next episode, so why is this a sin? The Star Destroyer does pursue them, it just hasn't started happening yet.
Guess it wouldn't be a Star Wars series if we didn't go back to the fucking desert.
Discount Jeremy complains about Tatooine Ex Machina.
Okay, sir. Does the problem have a strategical impact on the business?
It does. The program doesn't work. I'm getting an error, object reference not set to an instance of an object.
Is that something on the screen, sir?